Today's guest is Dillon Hirandiran, the co-founder and CEO of Counsel, the AI matter management system for law firms. Dillon previously was at JP Morgan, then founded a fintech startup before going on to build Counsel. Counsel passively reads everything inside a law firm and then drafts, triages and follows up with full context. Think Asana or Monday, but built for law firms.
It's now at the point where we're catching things the attorney has forgotten.
In this episode, Dillon and I discuss why staying on top of everything across every matter, every client, and every thread is what separates a good lawyer from a great one, and why the skills that make a great lawyer are shift from grinding out hours to responsiveness, judgment, and using AI as a force multiplier.
Can you use AI to force multiply yourself and be like a 10x lawyer, kind of like a 10x software engineer?
Yeah. To Best Practice Podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. For those that don't know who you are, would you like to explain what it is you do, what is Counsel do, and what it is you're building?
Cool. Thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here. What do we do? We're building an autonomous project management system for law firms. So we see every email within the law firm, every Teams or Slack message as well. And so we have full visibility into which attorneys are working on which matters for which clients. So if you're a law firm and you've been using, like an Excel spreadsheet to track who's doing what, or like a Monday or an Asana, what you generally find is that this is like a super inefficient, painful way to try and stay organized.
Yeah.
And so for attorneys where dropping the ball or missing details on a project is really, really important, staying on top of everything is very difficult. It's a really high, contextually heavy job. And so we make that really, really simple. We plug into everything, we see everything, and we give attorneys full visibility into everything that's happening in their phone.
Insane. So it's almost like you're building that context layer for legal.
Yeah, exactly. The way we see it is, if you see everything and you know who's working on what for which client, and you're maintaining this understanding as new emails are coming in, as the partner's telling the associate, here's what we need to focus on, and opposing counsel is saying, these are the things we don't like, and your client's telling you one thing. As an attorney, you have to keep all of this context in AI speak. You have to keep that all in your head.
Yeah.
So when you're reviewing this document, or you're turning the next round of documents, or you're drafting a response to opposing counsel, you have to have all of this in your head at once. And that's the hard thing for attorneys. It's staying on top of everything, not missing anything, and then juggling this across all the different things you're working on. And so we think of this as, to lawyers, it is an autonomous project management system.
Yeah.
But in the sort of machine learning AI world, what we're building is a persistent context layer that, as new information comes in, maintains state and evolves alongside you. And so no matter what is going on, you have an AI assistant in some ways that has full contextual awareness of everything that is happening. And so that has turned out to be very, very powerful.
And I wanted to talk about your career a little bit. This is your second startup you've built. Did you want to tell us a bit about what your first one was?
Yeah, of course. My first startup began as, it was during COVID, and I really wanted to rent a Peloton bike. I thought this was the most savant level genius idea. I was like, I want to rent a Peloton, and there's no way to do it. And so the startup Slipstream began as this, enabling brands to rent out their products. So we ended up working with e-bike companies, e-scooter companies.
Yeah.
Realized quite quickly that was not, that was never going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. It wasn't going to change the world, but there was a business there. And we pivoted despite the fact that we were growing very quickly. Because we were just like, this business does not scale very well. Yeah, it's operationally complex, but it's also a lending business. And we pivoted to try and build a credit bureau because we discovered that if you're trying to lend a bicycle, you need to do a credit check on people.
Yeah.
We gave away so many free bicycles. We got defrauded so badly. And we pivoted to try and build a credit bureau, one that was real time, so we could filter out, bad actors basically by having really good quality data.
Yeah.
Realized that doing that was impossible. We got into this great accelerator, got access to a lot of capital, ended up returning it and giving it back. But in the process, spent a lot of money on lawyers. And we worked, I'm not going to name any names, but we worked with massive, global law firms whose names you will have heard of,
Yeah.
even with some boutique law firms. And generally what frustrated us as founders was, seeing an invoice that was often like a junior attorney or paralegal billing us to fill in often like form documents, right? Like we're doing a seed financing or a Delaware flip. Like these are standard things that lots of companies do.
Yeah.
And getting billed tens and tens of thousands of dollars for pretty simple work that often took far longer than it should have. And on one occasion, I remember this was our Delaware flip, like getting things like our cap table wrong as we were incorporating, like potentially very damaging, like the details were getting missed. And that was, I guess, where it began. It was a frustration at, we got promised the world by his amazing lawyers. But actually, we thought that lawyers were just like, they didn't care about us. We were low priority thing. We've been sold this thing. We got this other thing instead. The truth we discovered is a lot more nuanced, as you can imagine. It's that lawyers have a lot going on. We're one of many clients.
Yeah.
There are clients who are in crisis mode, and there's us doing like a seed financing. We're just a lower priority client. And if you're an associate or a paralegal, you're context switching across deal after deal after deal. You don't even know who we are. You don't remember all the specifics. And so that was what started Counsel. It was actually a frustration at the legal experience for us as founders. And then, we discovered that there's so much more nuance, as you do, right? You think it's all so straightforward, and then you realize quite quickly there's so much more to how an industry works and why it is the way that it is.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I think we're seeing a lot of founders now who have had a frustration working with law firms, but not necessarily have worked at a law firm themselves. But I don't think that's really the key anymore to having a successful startup. I think given you've worked on a startup before, you know what it takes to build another one. And
Or know what mistakes not to make again.
well, that exactly. And so you mentioned that Counsel are building the autonomous matter management system for the firms. Why did you decide to go specific into matter management and project management over than a Harvey or a Justin chat interface?
Yeah, I think, my background is quite a unique one in some ways. When I was on my gap year, when I was your age, when I was a young pup, I interned at a consulting firm for 9 months at a firm called Accenture. One of my clients was Goldman Sachs. So I spent 5 months in the back office of an investment bank. I then went to university and interned at Barclays and Lazard, and then I joined JP Morgan.
Yeah.
And so my background is that I started in consulting, have worked at 3 different investment banks, and started my career properly at a major investment bank. And what I saw there, I didn't realize how much overlap there was with how law firms work. When we started building Counsel, we spent every day now like talking to lawyers. And what I think many people don't necessarily appreciate is that law and investment banking are very, very similar industries. They work in the same way. The workflow is very similar, high contextual loads on like junior lawyers or junior bankers, massive requirement for attention to detail and not letting the ball drop.
Yeah.
These industries actually work in very similar ways, like the knowledge and like the kind of work you do with it. And so for me, it was always very obvious, having actually done these jobs, that the difficulty is not editing the document, or in finance, it's not difficult to update the model with new numbers, or to move logos around with a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Those are not hard. They maybe aren't always that fun, but they're not hard. They don't take that much time. But the hard bit is retaining all this information in your mind at the point you do the work. That's always been the hard bit. That's the thing where, you get called out for attention to detail, the client gets upset because you forgot something. That's the hard bit. And so, we've always had a very different lens on what is the hard problem to solve for these firms. And so, there are these amazing companies, right? Like Harvey and Aura and Spellbip, and the list is really long now, but their focus has always been on the doing the work, like the Word plugin, the Output plugin, the web chat interface that you can use for research. But no one has really drilled into I'm an associate who's underwater and I don't need to remember what's going on all of my projects, but a partner wants me to say right now, what is going on? And I can't drop the ball. and there's the only way I scale help with is my paper to-do list. And so I think the reason we came at it in this way is because we deeply empathize with like the challenges of these types of jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think contextual based AI is so important, right? Because you have other doers. So you have Harvey and Agora. They can do a really good job in producing a really good contract for an output of a document or a workflow. But do it too early and that document becomes stale. You then have to redo it again. Do it too late, you're rushed, and then you have to like quickly do it, and then it all gets into mistakes because it's rushed. But if the AI can know, okay, this is where you are on the timeline, you should probably draft this document now. It'll be so much better, I think.
Yeah.
So
What we're finding is, the difference between like full contextual awareness versus like an attorney having to tell you everything is, a lawyer comes into counsel and they're like, hey, like we need to review this document, and counsel already understands the state of play. Like it knows what opposing counsel has said, what the partner has said, what the what the client is complaining about.
Yeah.
And so review this document being the instruction is suddenly like oh, cool, like, here's what we're going to do. Like, counsel already knows this. And so what we're finding is, we're going from, people having to construct, like, playbooks or having to write really, really long prompts to counsel implicitly knows. And so it's now at the point where we're catching things the attorney has forgotten. Like, in this email, in this other thread, 3 emails ago, you said you were going to, insert this piece of language, which you haven't done yet. So I'm just going to do it for you. And for attorneys, this is pretty mind-blowing because you're now, you're stepping away from, I have to give you the AI full context by uploading precedent, telling you, this is the situation, copying an email thread, putting it in. Yeah. To counsel just knows. And so that has been, it's been really fun to watch, attorneys just being like, whoa. Yeah.
And so I saw on your website, counsel can now basically read through your emails from a point and pre-draft you a response.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, based on this email, like, here's what I think you should say. Now, give that to a partner who's maybe working in legal for 20 odd years. How would you be able to convince them to trust that counsel is doing accurate work?
That's a great question. So I think philosophically, our thinking has always been, counsel, even if we get to autonomy and doing stuff proactively, the human in the loop is ultimately like the arbiter of whether something is good to go or not. And so your example of, counsel is now proactively drafting emails for you in your tone of voice, based on how you speak, based on previous emails you've sent and context it has on how you attack this piece of work. But ultimately, the attorney is the one who hits send. Like, we are never, ever going to get to a point where, maybe others will do it, but we won't, of doing the work for the attorney without them in the loop, deciding if it's good enough. And so, we don't get this right all the time, right? Like, we see the email come in and we draft a response going like, here's what you should do. And the attorney will look at it and be like, raw. Actually, there's some nuance that I have in my head from my 20 years in this industry that counsel has not found because it doesn't know. I'm going to change this. But what we're finding is that, if you're waking up in the morning and, your clients have sent you a bunch of stuff overnight and counsel has proactively drafted responses or proactively redlined the document, that gets you some of the way there, even if it's not perfect. But that's, I think that will improve over time. But I don't think attorneys should fully trust any AI tool. Their judgment is what clients are really paying for. All we're doing is just increasing the velocity they can move at. So we're earning people's trust over time. But we tell everyone who uses counsel that they should be checking its work. They are the final arbiters. And also they know best, right? Like, the partners know best. And LLMs will only get you so far. Like, we do not have training data on, the like inner vagaries of like a niche legal topic that exists in the mind of a tenured partner. Yeah, that is not available as training data anywhere. Like, no LLM will know this stuff. And so, human judgment is still really, really key here.
And so you mentioned that judgment is what clients pay so handsomely for, right?
No, you're a lawyer.
Well, they do. They want an answer, right? They don't want those paragraphs. They want, this is what we think you should do, and they trust you for that.
Yeah.
Now, as a junior lawyer myself, a judgment is built through repetition, right? And now AI can do a lot of this drug work for us.
Yeah.
Given what you're seeing at the moment, what do you think the most important skills are for the lawyer of the future, for the lawyer that's trading now, given that AI can do a lot of that basic level work? Where does the value lie?
I think that's a great question. So let me frame this around my 19-year-old cousin, who is your age.
Yeah.
Wait, you were 19, right?
20.
20 odd. So, so my 19-year-old cousin came in and was an intern for us this week. And the thing that I was drilling into him was, you do not honestly know how to do anything. I'm sure he's not going to mind me saying this. I'm at this age as well. You don't know how to do anything, but the meta skill you can learn is how to use AI to teach you how to do stuff. So he was doing relatively simple stuff, like, helping us build a sales deck, because now we're running out of stealth and we have inbound, we need materials. He was drafting me briefs before I had calls with customers to get me up to speed on, who they are, what they want to talk about, etc. I think for attorneys, the nature of legal work we're seeing with our customers has completely changed. So the skill set of, I'm really good at editing documents and turning them around quickly is now pretty irrelevant. Now, attorneys using counsel are, juggling multiple document edits and contract reviews in parallel, and they're not even opening work. They're using counsel to do all this work for them. The skill is, I iterate this with my partner, and they tell me actually this is not how we should approach it. This is what we should do, and I'm building that knowledge over time, as you described.
Yeah.
Right. But the work has gone from, I'm going to be really good at editing docs. I'm going to be really good at writing the right words into net docs with search bar to find documents. That used to be part of what made you a great junior lawyer.
Yeah.
That is not the case anymore. Now it's, I think, about, can you use AI to force multiply yourself and be a 10x lawyer, kind of like a 10x software engineer?
Yeah.
Can you be this hyper scaled, hyper efficient attorney who turns stuff around really fast? Are you really responsive to your clients? Do you learn from the senior leadership at your firm and ingest that knowledge and become a great lawyer yourself? And then in many ways, when I think about my time as a junior investment banker, I think now would be this is such a hot take. Now would be such a great time to be a junior investment banker. If I was at JPM and they gave me a counsel equivalent for investment banking, I'd be the most cracked out analyst associate you'd ever see. I'd be turning work around like a machine. It would be so easy because I don't have to do the stuff I hate it, right? I don't want to be in PowerPoint or making micro edits to an Excel spreadsheet. That was not the most fun stuff. Instead, your job becomes, what does the, we have a meeting with this client. What's the story you want to tell them?
Yeah.
Or if you're a lawyer, the client has a complex situation. Can I use AI to do lots of great research and then find great precedent language, but modify it for this specific situation and take this to my partner? Instead of going, hey, what should we do? I'm now going, this is what I think we should do. Options A, B, and C. What do you think we should do? And the partner goes, do option B. And I'm like, that's now me learning. But the relationship between me and the partner has changed. So I'm not going to them hey, I don't know what to do. It's I'm going to them with ideas, and I can turn those ideas around really fast. I actually think it's a great time if you are an AI native junior lawyer, and you want to be a 10x attorney. Now I think the skills of a great attorney move from, can I just grind out the hours and do the hard shit that no one wants to do? I don't know if we're allowed to swear. I'm swearing. Yeah. To am I someone that my clients trust and they like? Do I learn from the people who have great experience, and do I build my own experience, this own proprietary knowledge within my head?
Yeah.
That's how you become a great attorney of the future, I think. Whereas if you're I am a workhorse, I will sit here, do my 1,800 hours or 18,000 hours. Well, I don't know the exact number. I can't metallic hours. Yeah, and I'm just going to grind it out, or I'm going to redline documents like a machine. It's funny. Well, I hate to tell you, but we can redline a document whilst you're asleep. So I don't know if that's that valuable anymore. But what we can't do is go like, this is the correct answer to a very complicated situation.
Yeah.
I don't think AI is ever going to get to that point, even if we had AGI, because so much of this knowledge is like is learned and passed down. It is not available in the corpus of the internet. You cannot find training data on, how do you do a Delaware flip in these really complicated scenarios where like you just can't find this. You train this and you can't make a model know the answer. Yeah.
And what do you think the part of the future looks like, given that, like you said, we can use AI as a force multiplier? They can essentially have all these AI paralegals at their disposal. And we have seen a lot of, partners leave Big Law and they're going to start up their own boutique.
Yeah, talking to counsel.
Yes, and then definitely just they're using counsel to be their force multiplier. So what do you think the skills for the future partner looks like?
That's a great question. I'm just thinking about the partners. Our number one power user is not an associate or a paralegal. It's actually a senior partner at one of the leading elite boutiques of the United States. Is our biggest power. He actually overtook quantity associates, which is really funny. And I think when I think about what makes him and the partners at that firm so successful, I'm actually going to quote a partner at one of our firms. His name is Jared Vizzetto. He is a partner at a firm called Presidio, which spun out of Atrium, which we were talking about before we started this.
Yeah.
And Jared said something really, really interesting, which is so true. Like, what makes a great attorney is responsiveness.
Yeah.
Like, a client cannot tell if you have done the world's best contract review for them. They just don't know. Like, I wouldn't know.
They've got other things to compare it to.
Like, what do I know? That's why I hired a lawyer. But what they can tell is how quickly you reply to them. Like, do you care about me? Do you if this feels urgent to me, do you reciprocate the urgency I'm feeling? That they can tell.
Yeah.
And when we started this, I was telling you about our lawyers. Like, I could not tell you if they did a great job. I could spot mistakes in numbers, and I was like, this is wrong.
Yeah.
But when we're doing RC financing, I'm like, we need to get money in the bank. We're running low. And these guys are taking days and days and days to like reply to an email. That I'm like deeply frustrated by.
Yeah.
And so Jared said something really interesting to me. He was like, the number one thing a client can detect is responsiveness. And the way you know you're a great attorney is by the number of organic referrals your clients make for you. If my clients love me, they tell their founder friends, and those founders become our clients too.
Yeah.
And if you can maintain that responsiveness at scale, then like you have an incredible business.
Yeah.
And so clients, I say clients, like founders in our case, they just want an attorney who is really responsive to them, who doesn't make mistakes, who prioritizes them and, empathizes and fully understands what's going on with them, who doesn't forget the details from one call to the next call. That's what clients want. And so the partners of the future look a lot like, someone like Jared, where his law firm is, I'm sure he won't mind saying this, is incredibly successful. They are growing incredibly quickly, but they are not losing any quality because they're using tools like Counsel to stay on top of everything. And so, I feel, as a founder, like if I were to work with a law firm, I'd want to work with someone like Jared. I think the partners who are going to struggle here are going to be the ones who just are not responsive enough to their clients. Who think that if we use AI and like we do better contract reviews, like that's given up. Yeah, clients don't know, like they don't know that, and they definitely don't feel it. So for us, like what success looks like for us is, do our law firms get more responsive? Like, are they getting organic referrals? Are we helping that? And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get them to be faster.
So I want to talk a bit about the pricing of Big Law, right? So at the moment, it's very much still done by the billable hour. I do think a lot of law firms are in a struggle to move away from the billable hour, given that it's a metric for a lawyer's performance, right? They come to their April review. You've done.
Oh, like you're a month away from that. How's it going?
you're a month away from your April review or something. The partner's can look at your dashboard. Okay, great. You've built 2,000 hours this financial year, over target or 1,800. You're going to get a bonus.
Yeah.
Right. You've done 20 hours this year of DE9. Maybe we should build that a bit more. I think we're going to definitely move towards more fixed fee. I think a lot of clients are going to want a lot more fixed fee stuff. And then maybe you'll pay a premium for this human judgment and for the human consultation. How do you think the pricing and the billing model is going to plan out? And do you think firms like Jared have the right to charge a premium for the faster responses, given they're using counsel?
Yeah, I think so. I don't want to turn this in, I haven't asked Jared for permission to talk about it. So, Things Firm is, I would call them like an elite boutique. They are, they're an awesome firm, as are all of our customers. I'd say yes, like responsiveness definitely equals premium, like premium equals higher pricing.
Yeah.
That's certainly true. I think, people have been talking about the billable hour going away for damn years, like literally decades. And it's tough, right? It's so baked. It's not even just like a pricing mechanism. It's like a performance metric. It's like the entire culture and system of the law firm, like how matters are constructed in the billing system. Like the whole thing is built around this concept. It's completely systemic.
Yeah.
I don't see the billable hour going away if big law is the be-all and end-all structure for the legal ecosystem. What I mean by that is these law firms are structurally built, like it is in the infrastructure to be charging by the hour.
Yeah.
The idea that like some of these massive global law firms are going to suddenly start charging like a SaaS subscription to me just doesn't sound plausible. What I could see happening is, and maybe there's an interesting chat for us here about why are we focused on the firms we are. But you touched on this earlier, right? Like partners leaving really great law firms and spinning up their own law firm. Like, why do they do that? They do it, I think, because if you're a partner and you're making several $1 million in revenue for insert name of a large global law firm, you get to keep about 30% of that. These are relationships that are now basically yours. Your clients trust you. They're your relationship.
Yeah.
These lawyers are leaving because, well, why pay 70% of my revenue, my billables, to insert name of major law firm when I could just spin out my own law firm, work fewer hours, and keep more of this revenue for myself, and build a culture and a firm for myself. I think that's the material risk for big law. It's flight of people, because now these people can go to platforms like Counsel, I'm sure many others will spin up like us, and essentially spin up their own law firm with all the operational infrastructure they need to do so. And the risk is not that your rainmakers at the very top of these big law firms leave, because they make so much. I was actually chatting to, I'm not going to name names, but one of the managing partners at one of the biggest law firms in the world. He runs the UK practice. And I was like, hey, would you ever leave your law firm and just spin up a new one? And he was just like, I make so much money. It's fantastic. Like, I'm a rainmaker here. Like, I'm not going to leave.
Yeah.
But if you went one row below to the people who will, where he is basically the blocker of their career.
It's going to be a partner.
Yeah, exactly. And you go, hey, would you leave? And the honest answer is, yeah, they would. If it were easier, if you gave them the operational infrastructure, the associates, the paralegals, you dial the risk down for them and dial up the amount that they get to keep, that becomes interesting as a way to potentially attack the billable hour. Because now it's like, you can leave. These people bring their relationships, and they're doing this already, right? Like, I'm going to pick on Jared again. Jared used to be at Cooley, right? Like, Jared was like a high flyer at Cooley, went to Atrium, and now he runs Presidio. But this story is one you see everywhere. There are loads of boutiques run by great attorneys from great firms. Those firms are not only more efficient and nimble and like lightning fast, but they have great clients. They are successful businesses. Those guys could start innovating on the price model. And so maybe that's how we start to see it play out. But I don't know, like if you're doing a multi-billion-dollar M&A deal and you're hiring, I don't know, Allen and Overy, let's say, like that's not going to be a SaaS subscription. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going to be hard to change. And so the market, especially for legal AI companies, has been very much focused kind of in-house now. We're seeing Legal Lie, we're seeing Wordsmith, we're seeing GC.AI. They're all going after the standard tech companies, the standard companies, their legal teams. Why was it you went with a scalpel and you went razor sharp into the boutique law firms? Are you likely to go over law firms over than in-house counsel?
It's a great question. I think we try to think about it from first principles. If you look at the global legal ecosystem, we actually, for various reasons, we chose not to focus on in-house. But if you look at just law firms, and you think about if you were going to build this incredible technology platform, which law firms would be the ones that would really validate that you've built something amazing and truly powerful, not just your ability to sell it, but that the product itself is fundamentally valuable. Logically, you would think, which market is bigger, US or Europe? You go US. Which law firms are going to be the most tech inclined? You'd think law firms that work with tech companies, like startups. Would they be big law or little law? Intuitively, I would think little law. These guys have to be more efficient. They have to be more competitive. They don't have the brand of a massive law firm that they can just hoover up clients left, right, and center. They have to win on being better. And so when you follow this chain of logic down, what you end up with is founder-led elite boutiques in Silicon Valley that work with startups. That's it. And so our focus has been very, very much that. Firms I'm not just list names. You can go on our website and see who we work with. But firms like that, where the partners are personally paying for counsel out of their own pocket. There's not some big central IT budget, where the CIO can just drop $5 million on a tool and adoption is really low. It's they will not spend money on products that the firm does not use and rely on. And so for us, it was this amazing and honestly brutal place to be working out of, because, you have to build something that people love, that they genuinely adopt, that is truly useful to them. And if those things are not true, they won't pay for it. And so it really validated, is what we're building truly useful to our customers? Do they rely on it? Does it actually save them time, make them a more successful law firm? So that was why we focused on this niche.
And have you fundraised any money so far? If so, are you planning to fundraise more?
I will have to keep you posted on that, George. I'll have to keep you posted on that.
So Dillon, what are your thoughts at the moment on Harvey and Agora?
I think both teams are clearly incredible executors. They've achieved so much in such a short space of time. And actually, I think they've both been fantastic for the legal ecosystem and also for startups like us, regulated startups. Because what they've done is I think the hard thing that they have both done, which is super helpful to everyone, is that they have put legal AI on the map. It is now, I think we've now gotten to a point where if you're a law firm, you cannot have any form of AI. That is not an option anymore. Whereas 2 years ago, pre-Agora, pre-Harvey, it was kind of do we need AI? I don't know, maybe. Now it's you have to have the AI. You cannot not have it.
Yeah, plenty expected.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when we talk to law firms, they're often using Harvey or Agora or sometimes both. Often they will also have Microsoft Copilot, or they'll have ChatGPT Business. People are using everything. So I don't think it's turned into this it's either us or it's them. Maybe some law firms have made those choices. But net, I think they've both been fantastic, and the teams are clearly exceptional and doing really great stuff. What are my thoughts on them? I think that I've just realized I've gone completely tangential. I was out there hyping Harvey and Agora. I think that for us, the world we're in, it's where I see us going 5 years from now is sort of we plug into them. Or we work with them. I think everyone, these guys have locked up so many law firms, or they're trying to, right? That's the arms race I think they are both in. It's we are head to head on every single deal. Harvey's revenue is here and Agora's revenue is here, and they're both raising massive rounds from great investors. But I think what people are missing is that it isn't just Harvey or Agora, or both. I think the needs of law firms are greater than what either or both of them do or will or can provide. So for us, for example, project management, maybe it is on their roadmaps to build autonomous project management.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good use of their time to build that. Like they have such great products, in Word and Outlook and web. Like maybe Ali and Lemora want to do things like billing and time tracking and invoicing and project management and conflict checking and all of these other things that law firms need. My instinct is that, that's their focus is elsewhere. Their businesses are exploding and doing really, really well. And that's going to be their focus. And so for us, it's like we don't want to compete with them because they have way more firepower than us. We want to work with them. Like we think the ecosystem is big enough to support lots of people doing lots of different things. And if you're a law firm, I don't see it's kind of like saying a law firm will only have one software tool. They're going to have Microsoft out of Microsoft Word and then Harvey or Deborah. Like that, I just don't think that's true. I think they're going to have lots of things for lots of purposes, and Harvey and Deborah do amazing things in some of those spaces. But they're not. I think it would be a bad use of their time to try and be everything to everyone. Like that's not how I see this playing now. So for us, I think our niche is going to be, do great autonomous project management, make the context layer as good as it can be. And funnily enough, I think that's a really, really, really hard problem to solve. It's not something you could just like build in like a couple of months. We spend a lot of time like really understanding like an ontology of like how law firms work.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be our focus. And then, hopefully these guys are going to work with us one day. But right now, they don't even care about us. They don't know who we are. Like, it's fine. Like one day, I'm looking forward to the day I get to meet Max and
We'll hate this go viral. Yeah, but yeah, I'm playing it. How's this kid?
it's out here yapping.
Now, hopefully, if you get this right, what is your vision for counsel in say 5, in say 10 years? Are you still, the context and matter project management layer for law firms, or are you hoping to expand beyond that?
That's a really interesting question. I think, we've been very deliberate in our focus on founder-led boutique law firms or serve startups in Silicon Valley, and now we're starting to talk to firms in the UK as well. That focus is what allowed us to build this great project management system for law firms. I think for the time being, our focus is still going to stay on law firms. We're just going to expand our market and work with bigger law firms and work with different types of law firms. It is incredibly hard to build this if you just imagine, right, like who's a client, what's a project, what is legal, what isn't, what is like, doing that on every single email, every single message is really, really hard.
Yeah.
And so the worst thing for us would be to try and do this for lots of different types of people simultaneously, all at the same time, massive law, little law, investment banks, law firms. But maybe, we get to a point where we've done so well with our niche and then with law firms and different geographies and different types of law firms that we can then start to think about different verticals, different industries. 5 years from now, I have no idea what that looks like for us. I mean, look, Harvey and Lemora didn't exist like 3 years ago. Anthropic wasn't here like 5 years ago. So I don't know what the future looks like. Maybe we have AGI and ASI and no one needs anything, right? Maybe we don't even need not many like ours. Yeah, and we're all on UBI. You and me, always sitting here with a beer, making paintings.
Insane, yeah. And I think what's really important, what you've done well so far, is staying laser focused right on the small boutique law firms, building something that's really important to them, and also listening for what they want.
Yeah. So much of what we have built has come from, honestly, these law firms, they're super interesting. Because they were so tech forward, they are so tech forward. And even before it was cool, we're trying to build solutions to this sort of problem themselves.
Yeah.
One thing I find so often when we talk to law firms in this space is, we tried to do this ourselves at some point. We tried to build some sort of system using like a Monday or an Asana, and like we built these automations. It didn't quite work, but and that is the space that we're in, where these law firms are so forward. They've been so forward thinking for so long that like they've tried to DIY it.
Yeah.
And so I think for us, that laser focus has meant also that we've learned from the right kinds of customers. Imagine if we were trying to build, I don't know, autonomous project management for top 5 global law firms M&A practice. Like, my God, like zero tolerance for failure, insane volumes of context to try and stay on top of.
Yeah.
We couldn't handle that today, if I'm being honest. Like, we're not going to go work with the M&A practice at Out and Over anytime soon, because the volume of context that you have to stay on top of and be completely accurate on. We're still building this thing, right? We're still making it work better and better every week. So I think starting in this niche is the only way this was possible. The volume of context is tractable with the LLMs that we now have, and the agent harnesses we could build. The tolerance for failure and getting it wrong and being willing to iterate with us as we have figured it out. You couldn't do that, I think, if you're working with massive law firms on something that is this important. And so, we're super lucky, and, some of our earliest customers have been incredible thought partners to me and to Jersey and our team. We wouldn't have been able to get to where we are without them. So, I one of the things that I feel very grateful for is, I've said this to Jersey, you met Jersey, my co-founder. I think one of the most valuable assets that we have as a company, it's not the cash, it's, we have an amazing team, but it's actually our proximity and relationships with our customers and the feedback loop that we have with them, where I'm inside Microsoft Teams to some of our customers. Like, I'm inside their law firm's teams.
Yeah.
All of our customers have my WhatsApp. I will get messages on a weekend where they're like, "Oh, like this thing didn't work," and that feedback loop is so critical to how we work. And so when we onboard a new firm, we do a couple of things. One of the things we do is, if they're a remote firm, we try to have like a call with them like multiple times a week, where we're literally doing like a how's it going, like what's working, what's not working, and we're teaching them, but they're teaching us.
Yeah.
Or if they're a firm with an office, like we literally go to their office and we are in their office, and we're
Going in the US?
yeah, we will. Dude, I've been to like Salt Lake. I've been to random parts of New York, DC. Like we literally go to our customers and I say to them, like, we are here as students. Like, we have built this thing. We know it works really well, but like, you're going to teach us so much.
Yeah.
And even today, like, this morning, yesterday, it was like, we're shipping new stuff. Today's a Sunday morning, right? Or just turned afternoon. And like, we're still learning stuff about, how do you make a project management system feel incredibly intuitive? Like, how do you make it behave the way an attorney wants it to behave? And like, if we were, I said this earlier, but like, we're trying to do this for a massive global law firm at scale, I don't think we'd be able to do it. But when your customers are these boutiques who are tech forward and they work with startups and they've tried to solve this problem themselves and they really care about it and it unlocks loads of value for them, they want to be a part of the product. And so, it's really cool that it's going to sound so corny, but like, these people are now friends, they're like genuinely like friends of ours. And we're so grateful to have them on the journey with us.
And so the big talk in the near future is NCI, right?
Yeah.
Artificial general intelligence, the ability for the AI to be so good, to reach 100% accuracy that you don't have to have any human sign off. How close do you think we are? And do you think it's, I don't know, like ethical? Do you think clients are going to want that? Do you think we're 5 years away, 3 years away? 2027 maybe.
I honestly, I had no idea. We have friends at a lot of the top AI labs, and so we talk about this stuff with them. I think how people define AGI has changed over time.
Yeah.
Like, if you look back 2 years ago, the way people were defining AGI, we had already reached that. Like the Meson power of like an Opus 4.6 or, like a Gemini 3.1 Pro or I don't even know what the latest GPT model is, like 5.3.
You were cheap. I think we're maybe on you.
The reasoning capabilities are incredible. Yeah. Like, the context windows are limited and you have context rot and, you can't have a conversation for like a million messages and expect them to retain like any sense of intelligence. Sure, this is all true. Or like needle in the haystack. When you put loads of context in, does it miss stuff? Yes. Hallucinations still happen. Like this is what a stochastic like parrot will do. But like the reasoning power is super, super strong already. And when you load them with context, they suddenly become incredibly like powerful to the point of like it feels like magic. But they're not perfect. They're a human duck-in.
Yeah.
But then specifically to law, I think the reason why lawyers shouldn't be overly concerned is that, you know, imagine you are a partner who's been doing this job for 20 years, or not even 20 years, even just a couple of years. You will know things, or you will have learned things that is just not public knowledge. You know, you will have learned, you know, in certain scenarios, like, yeah, the rules and the law say this, but actually in practice, like, you can do that. And that's not in the, you know, that's not in the corpus of the legal body, and that's not in the articles put out by the law firms, and it's not in the case law. That's just like knowledge that you have.
Yeah.
That is, it's almost like proprietary knowledge, right? Like, yeah, like human knowledge passed down is almost proprietary inside your brain. That's one thing. That even with AGI, this training data does not exist, and you cannot make models suddenly like prescient and fully aware without training data.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The other is that, you know, the first iteration of Counsel, I should say, was a really stupid idea. It was this idea that like we were going to have a chat interface, and like founders were going to use it, and it was going to do legal work for them with a human lawyer in the loop. And like we realized quite quickly that the moment a founder has raised any money, they will use ChatGPT to do their legal homework, but then they will go to a lawyer, because the thing you are paying for with a lawyer is that the job will be done correctly. Yeah. And you are paying for that certainty. You're also paying for the fact that there is someone who is responsible, who knows what they're doing. What do you think, Chris? Wrong? Yeah, I mean, in a really cynical way, sure, but like in reality, it's that, like, it's like I wouldn't, even if we had AGI, I would not want to get on a plane without a human pilot and a human co-pilot. Like, I'm happy to get in a Waymo. I love Waymo. I think Waymo is super cool. Every time I'm in San Francisco, I'm like, get me in a Waymo. But, like, that's because a Waymo, like, if it crashes, like, I have a seatbelt and there are airbags and, like, it's 30 miles an hour. I feel pretty safe in a Waymo. I am not sure I'd be that thrilled to get into a, you know, pilotless, like, 747 that's, like, meant to get me from London to New York, and, like, there's no human in the loop. Like, I don't want that. And I think it's the same for legal, right? Like, is a big corporate gonna, you know, want to save 80% of its fees by having, like, AGI lawyers doing their M&A deal and then find out that, oh, wait, like, it messed up something? No. Like, no sure. So I think the legal profession is actually quite safe from AGI, but like it will change, right? Like, you know, if you have AGI, like, do you need to be the one editing all the documents, or do you need to be the one just double checking it's been done correctly?
Yeah.
Do you need to be the one going out researching for like all the case law and all the research and all the opinions on a given legal topic? Or do you need to be the one assimilating it and double checking and reasoning and applying human judgment to the situation? So I think for lawyers, much like surgeons, right? I was talking to an eye surgeon yesterday, and she was telling me how, you know, like, she was like, oh, I'm a bit nervous about AI. I was like, I don't want AI like removing a lens from my eyeball. Like, I would like an AI assistant for you telling you to do it on my left eye and not my right eye. Like, yeah, that's great, but like, I want you being the one who's like messing around with my eyeball. So I don't know when AGI is going to happen. No one knows. And, you know, if you listen to Sam Altman, it's like AGI is coming next weekend. But, you know, I don't know. I think the world will change, but like some things will not change, because we are primal animals who like trust and rely on other people. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's my take. Hopefully Sam doesn't ever see this and doesn't get upset at the joke I just made, but we've unmashed it out. I have a feeling these got far bigger things to do than watch us, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, also there. And there's going to be lots of people listening to this, Dylan, who really look up to you. They're really,
Where are they?
they're really at least inspired by your journey, especially being a second time founder, and it all going swimmingly so far. Ish. What advice would you give to them if, say, someone is at a big law firm right now, they've got an amazing idea for a legal tech product? What would you advise that they do? What are your tips?
I think the hardest thing when you're building a startup at first is actually building the right thing. There's obvious stuff about like right co-founders, right team, blah blah blah. But the hardest thing is like building the right thing and getting someone to pay you for it. Someone who actually has a problem and you are actually solving. I think if you work in a law firm, you have a massive advantage over someone like me, which is that you are inside where the problem is. You probably know who your buyer is, and you probably know what the problem is. And if you're a really good product person, then you are perfectly positioned to build something and sell it very quickly. And so generally my advice around this is you want to get to your first dollar of revenue as fast as possible. Like real revenue, not like, I convinced someone to like buy this product that, the CIO just deployed like $5 million into, but like no one's using it. Like you want to build something where, one person is paying you like a couple of $100 and you're really solving a problem for them. You want to get that journey to as close to zero as possible. Like you want to just launch and get revenue and validate you built something useful. Yeah. So my advice to an attorney would be, you probably walk past like 1 million pain points every day. And you probably know exactly who the person that would buy that problem, like the solution to that problem is. So yeah, go do it.
So I say, definitely like that curiosity and being able to spot something. Why is it being done manually and so repetitively for so long?
Yeah.
How can we build something to maybe bypass that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And also, Dylan, where can people find you?
Where can they find me? Our website is gc.inc. My Calendly is calendly.com/Dylan.
Wow.
There's a fun story about how I got that. And my email is d@gc.inc. So, yeah.
Awesome. Dylan, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right, cool.